I'm always on the lookout for resources that are helpful for the scrupulous. Recently, I have been recommending to people who suffer with scrupulosity that they try and develop a spiritual practice commonly identified as mindfulness. You may have seen it referenced in many different contexts, since it seems to have picked up some popularity over the years. Despite the popularity of the practice and the fact that it's referenced often, it is nonetheless an old and very orthodox contemplative practice. In the Catholic context, it's perhaps more generally understood as living in the present moment. Regardless of the context, the general understanding of this practice is quite simple. Mindfulness may be understood as the deliberate discipline of learning to focus your attention on the present moment. It sounds easy enough, but it's unfortunately difficult. The difficulty in the practice is that most people spend a good deal of time each day thinking about the future, ruminating about the past, or simply distracted, not being fully aware of past, present, or future. For scrupulous people, a particular sensitivity to the intrusive and unwelcome thought often is the primary source of their difficulty and descriptive of their suffering with the disorder. Scrupulous people often find themselves laser focused on an unwanted or intrusive thought that, when paid attention to, literally repels them into the past or propels them into the future. If their primary focus is the past, they worry about unconfessed sin, the details of a particular action, the intensity of their emotions, and many other experiences. In the future, they're filled with anxiety-producing thoughts of eternal punishment, the ramifications of ruinous attempts at imagined restitution that needs to be paid, or any other catastrophic unfolding that produces untold suffering. In the meantime, the present moment is absorbed, wasted, and at best endured. A deliberate choice to practice mindfulness changes the trajectory of the suffering that scrupulosity causes, and enables a realistic opportunity to learn to manage the disorder in a manner that enables healthy and spiritual living. A deliberate practice of mindfulness releases the individual person from the emotions and the anxiety that are generated by the panic of the out-of-control future and the cluttered memories of the past. Since it's also a spiritual practice, it is an effective channel of the grace of God and the manifestation of the Spirit of God. To begin a practice of mindfulness, the essential tool is something that you daily experience. Literally each breath that you take. The practice begins with paying attention to each breath, becoming aware of the rhythm of your beating heart and the pulsating energy that results from the integrated reflex action that literally provides you with life. This deliberate focus of your attention on your breath enables you to slowly let go of any other distraction. It does not happen all at once or immediately on the first try. As with any spiritual practice, it takes time and effort. But slowly, you will literally feel the difference your focused attention makes. As you become aware of your breath, you can begin to identify each breath with a particular grace, a helpful focus that sharpens your attention. For example, as you breathe in, you can say, I'm breathing in the grace of the Spirit of God. As you exhale, you can say, I'm letting go of fear and anxiety. With each breath that you inhale and exhale, you identify the breath with a feeling, a description of God's grace at work in your life. The list of the graces that you identify will be particular to each individual person, but will generally include letting go of fear, anxiety, worry, the obsessive thought, the desire to flee. With the breath that's inhaled, thoughts might include calmness, peace, the security of the Spirit of God, openness to wonder and mystery, the acknowledgement that we are ultimately not in charge or in control of our lives, rather that our lives, each moment, is a gift of God. Each breath does not require an identification with a particular grace or manifestation of freedom. It's enough to become aware of the breath itself. Permit your breathing to be the focus of the moment, the present experience. Do not torment yourself with a thought about whether or not you're doing it correctly or really praying to God. Remember, God is always present, regardless of whether your awareness of His presence is focused or not. After a few moments of focused attention on your breathing, and this can be a few minutes, or perhaps even a few minutes more. Do not force it, measure it, judge it. It is enough to simply rest in the quiet and in the calm that you may experience. This calm, induced by your focused concentration on the work of the Spirit, does not mean you will be necessarily free from distractions, thoughts, or anything else. It's enough that it is enough. Even though the distracting thoughts will not immediately disappear, be patient with your practice. Refocus on your breathing. When it seems to you that the practice is concluding for the moment, you might complete it with a simple prayer that is suggested by the 5 contemplations from the Buddhist tradition. My life is a precious gift of God. The whole universe, the earth, and the generosity and selflessness of countless others. May I live this day, this moment, in a manner that is worthy of the gifts that I have received. May my restless mind become transformed from an unsettled state into the peace and calm of the precious gift of life that I have received. May I accept this gift of life, this gift of the moment, from the deepening realization that I am loved and accepted this day, this moment, this eternal now. At the end of this video, we will provide the words to this prayer for you to enjoy and to ponder. Use this prayer as one way to begin your deliberate practice of mindfulness. You will also be able to access some of the many meditations that we have produced that are based on a selective scripture passage that will help you meditate on a useful practice or idea that enables your continuing development of a spiritual practice of mindfulness. We have produced some inner quieting meditations that are also very useful in helping you learn. All these will help you to become more practiced and more confident. There is no one way to manage scrupulosity. There is no one size fits all. Unfortunately, the disorder is particular to each person who suffers. There are experiences that are common. There are identifiable fears and anxieties that can be observed as a common trait. But when all is said and done, each person suffers with the disorder in a manner that is uniquely their own. However, that being acknowledged, there are ways to learn to manage your scrupulosity that we have identified over the years. The spiritual practice of mindfulness is one such management option. It has been proven to be very helpful to many people, and it may be a spiritual discipline that you might discover is both helpful and effective. For people who are searching for some useful guidance, this well may be a step in the right direction.